Tufts University and Northeastern. I had always heard that it's so like horrible and it's stressful. But for me, it was really the opposite. We made a timeline together and it really worked. And I actually really enjoyed the process and I was not stressed at all, which was really nice. Yeah. Just making the time to write because you want it to be the best it can be and it's in the summer and you don't really want to like do things that are such a big deal. Um, so sometimes it was hard to have motivation, especially for schools I wasn't as excited about. My favorite part was the questions that Leslie gave me. Some of the colleges, I really liked their questions, and it was fun to brainstorm and think about what I wanted to write. Because I do enjoy writing, and so it was fun to have time to do that. Yeah. She gave me a questionnaire to fill out in the very beginning. Through that, I discovered a lot of things that were like important for me to talk about. So that was good. For brainstorming, a big part of it was making sure there's a lot of imagery. So that was a good part of it. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, probably losing motivation every now and then. Making yeah, so sometimes, for example, a Common App was probably the biggest essay, and that one I did a lot of versions for. And towards the end, I was like, okay, this should be fine. But she told me like there are still some things we should do. Don't give up, and that motivated me to be patient with the process and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think a big part was doing the student questionnaire because I felt like through that and through Skyping with Leslie, I felt like she really understood me and she knew what was best for me to write about. Yeah, the questionnaire, a lot of it was like questions people don't really ask you, but are like important to reflect on, I guess. That Yeah, I think the process was really good for me to better understand myself because a lot of the things I was like thinking about, I thought like, yeah, this is like who I am. This is like I always knew this about myself, but it was different like thinking about it and getting it on paper and I learned a lot about what matters to me and what I want in a college and how I see myself fitting in and stuff like that. By all this thinking, it made me realize how important like the questions that colleges ask you are. So there were some schools I could tell a lot about what they were about by the questions they asked. So that was something that affected my understanding of the college before I got there. And then yeah, once I got to school, having this time to think and write and better get to know the school helped me adjust there more. Yeah, it was good. I really loved all of my essays. There weren't any that I was like, oh, I don't think this is a good essay. I don't know. I really felt like all of them, I was able to like show myself in a way that I couldn't through like other parts of the application. So I really think that the essays helped me a lot in the college process. I talked a lot about like my culture and like what matters to me and the things that I find important in my life and like how I choose to live my life, I guess, and you can't really see that in grades or test scores. So it's more like the human side of you and like what you can bring to a college besides like your brain, I guess. Like I feel like I would not have gotten into a lot of these schools if I hadn't had these essays and Leslie hadn't helped me. Yeah. So I think that was a huge part of like why um, it was such a positive experience because since I did so much in the summer, like I wasn't starting any essays from scratch once school started. So I don't think it ever affected like my schoolwork and I was able to focus. And I know a lot of my classmates, like it was like November and they still hadn't written a lot of them and they were all really stressed and mostly done by the summer. Even essays that I wasn't done with, I used like the same kind of template. So some essays I didn't need Leslie's help because I just used like the foundation and so we had this huge Excel sheet. It was like a timeline, and it was like day by day, week by week, like when I should start each essay, when I should finish. Like there were check-ins every week to make sure I am getting enough drafts and stuff like that. So yeah, if I didn't have that schedule, I would probably like push it back and not finish. Right. Yeah, I spent a lot of time writing that summer, yeah. But it didn't take up that much time. I got to do a lot of other things that summer, so it was good. I would set a time to write, and I knew when I needed to start and finish. So then I was able to also like plan other things to do. Yeah. From the beginning, like Leslie would help me brainstorm. Even when we brainstormed, she mostly like tried to get things out of me and let me just like a lot of times I just she would make me do like free writes where I just put the first thing I thought of in my head and I would write it down and then like using that and making my own drafts and stuff. And I would send it to her. She would make some edits but most of the time, I really did feel like these were all my words. Like this is all coming from me, and she just like would make minor tweaks just to make things sound better and make sure I'm getting what I want out there. My mom also really wanted to be part of the process, so she wanted to read it every now and then. So it was nice getting feedback, but also having my own space. Even even when I was in college, I remember my friends were reading each other's essays just for fun and reread mine and I really felt like that really captured me and I like it was like something I was proud to share with them too. Yeah, I read a couple other essays. They all had very moving stories and mine wasn't really like a specific event in my life that shaped me. So it was cool to see that there are many different types of essays out there. Yeah, I think I definitely became a deeper thinker and definitely a better writer. I don't know, maybe it has to do with becoming more mature and not really taking things as like surface level, but asking why or what's important or being curious and being open-minded and like that also helped me meet a lot of different kinds of people in college and even though people can be very different, learning how to bond. I don't think there's much that I would change. I think during the process, sometimes Leslie would be really busy and it would take her a while to respond back to me. And at the time, I thought like, oh, like it would be better if she could like get back to me faster, even though she has a lot of students. But looking back now, I don't think I would say the same thing because by having more time and more space that allowed for me to like work more individually too. So right now, I would probably say like I wouldn't change anything. Some things that I think made my essays like more powerful was like making sure it's very engaging in the beginning and adding a lot of details is something that I think was really important, like details and imagery, like good choice of words. And then always what I really like that Leslie like helped me do is like, at the very end, like maybe the last sentence or two, like tie it back to the very beginning where I introduced like a hook, like bringing it back to that, like it all just comes together and it's like a really nice piece. Yeah. Like the concept of a hook I knew before, but she taught me like how to make a really good hook. Yeah, I couldn't really add humor in my writing. It just like didn't really work for me, but that's definitely something that she has told me that like people do in their essays, which is interesting. I'd like to like read more about that. Yeah. Sure. I think something really important is not to get discouraged. Like, you shouldn't not apply to schools just because you think they're hard or you won't get in. Because sometimes you get into schools that you don't think you would get in. You also don't get into schools you think you would get in. So just apply to whatever you want. Definitely start early on the essays. That really helped me in the summer. I think it's good to have like an open mind and a positive attitude about it because it's something that can actually really help you and you can really enjoy if you just give it a chance. I try to like tell my cousins like don't worry. And people should also know like you'll probably be fine in the end. Like college isn't your whole life. Being surrounded around students all the time when I was a senior, it becomes people's whole lives, but you get through it and it's enjoyable and everything will be probably fine.